Well, when I was a little girl, we lived in the country in North Mississippi, which is just south of Horn Lake, and we had a 4-H club at my school, and I got into yard beautification. So Mom gave me a little patch of land, and I tried digging that up and planting flowers. And that was my first experience with gardening. But I've always loved the outdoors and watching things grow.
So did your mom spark your interest in gardening?
I would say so. She had been a city girl from New Orleans and grew up down there, and then when they moved to Memphis, we were living in Memphis, and she became interested in raising registered polled Hereford cattle through a friend of theirs, the Moores, down in Senatobia, Mississippi. And so she studied how to, what grasses to put in the pastures, and learned about animal husbandry from the Extension Service, and started breeding registered polled Herefords. So I grew up with that.
Just growing up in Midtown, my mother, was a Native American Indian, and she had gardens all my life in our backyard. We had a big house. So basically I grew up just learning from my mother. And besides that, no, I haven't had any formal training, anything like that. I watch a lot of gardening shows though on PBS. Yeah. Which is great, because I've seen gardens in San Francisco. They've got, community gardens right downtown. As a matter of fact, they had one in San Francisco that I saw. It's right across the street from the mayor's office. And I tell you what, it's interesting to watch all these different shows because you learn things. And then I learned a lot from Josephine too, at Grove, Memphis. So I tell you what, it's not as easy as it looks. But I think I just kind of have a knack for digging in the dirt. And it's fun too. And it's fun once you see the plants coming up.
When I was growing up, we had a garden, and we lived in the country, and my mother would send the kids outside in the morning and tell us not to come back in. And we'd say, well, what about eating? And she said, there's plenty of food out there. There's a garden out there. There's a peach tree. There's an apple tree. There's a fig tree. There's grapevines. There's blackberry vines. Don't come in. There's the hose.
There you go.
So that's what we did. We would go out there, and most of the time we didn't even wash it, though. We'd just pick tomatoes or whatever we wanted to eat, and we ate right off the tree, right off the vine, right off the garden. It was great. But once you get used to those fresh vegetables and fresh fruit, I never have had canned vegetables. Never have.
Never?
I won't eat them. I don't like them.
Wow.
No, they don't taste the same to me.
Yeah.
I'll eat frozen in the winter when I have to, when I haven't put the things up. But anyway, it's different.
So have you always had a garden wherever you live?
No, but I go to the farmer's market.
I've heard you had a lot of experience with farming and gardening. So can you tell me about that?
Well, I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything. And from that, I learned how to, grow a garden. Right. I started, I was about a 15-year span, and then I got back into it probably in the 80s maybe. Well, I think it was about 85 when I grew my first one. And it's pretty extensive, And from that, you grow. When I was growing up, I hated it, because I had to do it. Now that I don't have to, I love it, and I look at these plants as my kids. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel as if a gardener is a parent, to those plants, that's my passion. My passion is growing things, and to interact as close as I can with nature. That's my passion. And so this draws me close to here. By doing this, it draws me a bit closer to my heart. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what that is, man. This is our heart here. Yeah. They're supplying all of these, and we're supplying our hearts. And from that, like he was saying, we're going to just get bigger and bigger and bigger, hopefully.
How long have you been gardening for?
About 20-something years.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. My neighbor was a truck farmer, and he used to take me to the farm in the summertime. And I knew another guy, he did the same thing. So that's why, you know, that's where it all came from.
Great.
And he was doing this when I was growing up. He was raising truck and selling out his station wagon. So, you know, I knew it could be done. So.
Yeah. So was that here in Memphis, or was that somewhere else?
He stayed, it was a house right here.
Oh, okay.
And he stayed next door.
So did he teach you pretty much everything, or
I
you just
observed what he
yeah.
was doing, and it just came something that was just in me.
Yeah.
And I just started doing it with a twist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
So. Yeah.
So why do you like gardening so much?
I don't know. Like I said, it's a part of me.
Yeah.
This is a natural thing. I'm good at it.
You seem to be. That's for sure.
Well, you know, I got started here at the Angelus garden. Really, I mean, as a kid, we had a garden for a few years, but I was old enough to pick off the tomato hornworms, and of course dig the soil. But really, it was 3 years ago here at the Angelus garden. Josephine and I were looking at the lot, talking about it. It was a good lot for a garden. We talked to the neighbors. A lot of people thought it would be good, and the guy that owns the property thought it would be good. So we got started with this garden.
So, and then that led you to be more interested in gardening, and you guys bought the farm recently?
Yeah, a lot more interested in not just gardening, but helping other people garden, understanding how they can grow some of their own food, and how that reduces everything else. I mean, it reduces oil consumption. It basically just tastes better. I mean, folks can do just a little bit of work and end up with, you know, some tomatoes or some cucumbers, and at least have something fresh right off their own vine.
Well, I'm still learning, and I guess to begin, I would have to go back to when I was a child. I would have to give credit to my parents, my father owned a farm, and of course I didn't do any farming kind of thing. And they also had a garden, and my mother worked very seriously in the garden. There again, I grew up not doing anything in the garden, but, you know, knew it existed. And to fast forward from that, when I was a child till now, I had the experience of being asked to be a leader for our project that we have at our church, which is dealing with a community garden. And upon being asked, I said yes. And sometimes I think after having said yes to the person who asked me, I think after putting the phone down, I kept looking the rest of the evening at my thumb to see where was it green, you know, a green thumb. But as I said earlier, I'm still learning. There's a lot of different concepts about gardening that I never knew when I was a child, and it's so interesting to learn how gardening is in the contemporary state of it. So, you know, that's a lot that I'm thankful to Grow Memphis, which has workshops, meetings, and those kinds of things that help me to learn about the convenience that gardening has today compared to yesterday or years ago.
We were raised as farmers. 55 years ago, or better than 55, 71 minus 16 is, about 55, 60 years ago, we had an opportunity to do our entire farm. I was 13 years old, and of course we were raised on the farm, but the experience really came, or the depth of it came, and to me, I guess I can use the impact, because Dad broke both his feet, my brother had an appendectomy, and I had to do the whole farm by myself, 13 years old. And from that point on, of course, I didn't go back to farming. I graduated from high school and went on to trade school and become a builder. But that experience and that knowledge I kept, and you know, this comes natural. This is nothing I just picked up. Farming is, that's what I live by, and that's how I became a gardener and interested in a gardener. And then on the other hand, when we were in our communities and on the farm, everybody shared from what everybody had. The neighbor down the street had a garden, the neighbor across the fence had a garden, the neighbor 2-3 miles away had a garden. When our garden wasn't producing, their garden was producing. And everybody shared in the gardening. So this is one of the things that we would like to see happen with what we're doing. Now, I may not live to see it all through, but we're on the way. All right.